Well, I am not going to lie. I have spent the past 3 nights at the new house, and I haven't been here at the old house. Even saying those words is hard for me to wrap my head around, isn't it, Stuart?
It's very weird.
And so this was the first time that I saw a sign up in front of my yard because it was sold before it even went on the market. And I'll be sharing a lot more information about that later. But Stuart, were you kind of gobsmacked?
You see Wendy's signs kind of on these streets sometimes, so it was just so weird to see it on this house.
I know,
I was like,
yeah.
Surely that's not on that. Oh wait, yeah, it is on this house.
Yeah, and the sold at the bottom is what kind of made me have a hiccup. But at any rate, it tells the story of me selling and leaving the Fairytale house to move to the Storybook Cottage. And before we did that, I wanted to do one last Wednesday very special walkabout with you guys. And that leads me right into the question of the day. If you're a new subscriber and you are just starting along this path with me, please let me know. But if you're a longtime subscriber, if you have followed me way back to just the Instagram days, it would really be meaningful to me if you would put something in the comments. And believe me, you have commented so much recently, I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. I simply haven't had the time to respond to all of them. But in short order, I will be reading them, and you guys are just the best. And I cannot tell you how much it means to Stuart and me. It is just amazing to us how much love and support, and the fact that it makes me feel a little bit less alone as I'm going through this, because so many of you have done it in the past, and you're kind of holding my hand along with it, as I hope we're doing to you if you're going through something similar, because life is all about change and it's about being resilient, and we are trying to be as resilient as possible, and we are very, very grateful that we're moving into a situation that hopefully over time will be equally as magnificent and special to us.
Of course.
So this, for those of you who are new to the channel, just a little bit of a recap. When we bought this house, Stuart, we should put up that picture of when I first bought it, when there was nothing in the front yard. And over 32 years, we have resurrected this house and created what I think is a pretty fabulous garden. And I really want to give a big thank you and a heads up about Southern Living Magazine and Southern Living Plant Collection, because it was really because of Southern Living Magazine, my friend Gene Bussell, and he was the one that did the very first spread for this garden in Southern Living Magazine. I think it was in 2005.
Wow.
And subsequently we have been in several times, and it was the beginning of a very special friendship with people at Southern Living, but also with Southern Living Magazine, and ultimately my new friendship and collaboration with Southern Living Plant Collection, and that has been equally as rewarding, equally as cherished, and they have played a huge role in the development of this past garden, and will be playing an even larger role in the coming garden. So I would be remiss if I did not use them as a reference to kind of share how special they've been in this process, because they started us out on this long, for good or bad, this long pilgrimage, garden pilgrimage. So right now, I think what is kind of breaking my heart most of all is I'm seeing lots of the tulips starting to come up. I planted almost 1,000 of them, and hopefully the new owners will really, really appreciate them. I feel certain that they will.
I think they will.
And the neighbors will appreciate them and won't miss my garden absence, because those tulips will be here in my stead. And there's lots of pansies in place, but I think it's all of the little seedlings that I'm seeing, because Stuart, you know how many seedlings we have.
We have found a few out
Oh
here
my
over the
gosh.
years.
Yeah, there's the Minoan lace, there's all sorts of larkspur, there's feverfew, there's poppies, there's columbine. And yes, I'll be taking a few of those seedlings with me, but I don't have a lot of places to put them right now. Happily, however, I saved tons of the seed last fall, so I will be scattering them all through the Storybook Cottage as soon as is horticulturally possible. I'll also be taking just a few perennials that have special meaning to me. You may notice that some of the boxwood balls have been removed. I had actually planned their reposition even before this move, and now it looks a little bit less cluttered and there'll be more room for seasonal color. But in addition to some of the very special boxwood, I'm also taking some things like a clump of this white yarrow that was a gift to me from my sister Kay. It came, I believe it came from her lake house up in Tahlequah, near Tahlequah I should say, and near the Illinois River. So I will be taking some of that, but most of the things up here I will be leaving in place. I will be having at the Storybook Cottage, because I don't want to be too much delving in the past without providing a glimpse into the future. I have loved the drift roses that I've had here up by the curb, and Stuart, we're going to be having some beautiful drift roses at the Storybook Cottage. I'm not sure what colors right now, but definitely there will be some. I will be taking some huge clumps of my beloved hellebores that look kind of ratted and tattered right now. And I will be digging up some clumps of those and taking them. I'm just not going to be doing it right now. I will be having lots of encore azaleas at the new house, which I am very excited about. I will probably be taking a start of some of just the Shasta daisies that are in the front. I believe they're Becky daisies, and I'll be taking some of those. But most of the other stuff will pretty much stay in place. And of course, all of the bare soil, or most of the bare soil you see here, has all sorts of rumblings, rooted rumblings that are going on underneath the surface of things that will be erupting later as spring approaches. And boy, it feels like spring
it's
today,
nice
doesn't
right
it,
now,
Stuart?
yeah.
It is beautiful.
No complaints.
No complaints. We got a little bit of rain last night. It has been very, very windy, and some of you asked me if that kind of wind, if you are new subscribers and asked me if that kind of wind is normal for Oklahoma, and I would say at certain times of the year it's very normal.
Very
and
normal.
You know, the wind does come sweeping down the plains here.
It's in the song.
But not all the time.
No.
And for example, today is a very still day. I will probably, one of the things that concerns me is about getting my foxglove started, because I have waxed rhapsodic about foxglove and my affection for it, and I'd gotten a pretty good stand established here. It's a biennial, so it might take me a little while to get it established at the Storybook Cottage. But Stuart, do you have confidence in me?
I got a lot of confidence.
You've got some confidence. And so for people who are new to this channel and they may not have confidence in my abilities, it makes me feel very insecure, Stuart, to be leaving a beautiful garden without another beautiful garden to show in its place yet. So
well, have you ever had the thought, like, if I would have known then what I know now when you started this one?
Oh gosh.
Now you get to start a new one knowing what you know now.
I know, and chronicling all of it, because
yeah, that's the cool part for
when
me.
I started this garden, I had no idea I would one day want to write a book about it and would one day be showing lots of befores and afters. Consequently, I didn't take as many befores as I should have, but we're definitely doing it at the new house.
Yep.
And the other thing is that writing that book, and here I'll make a plug for my book. If you haven't ordered Elegant and Edible Garden, you can get it on Amazon or at your local bookstore. And it was really for me, the thing that gave me some closure to all of this, because I felt like it was an homage to this house and to this garden, and I felt like maybe I won't have the garden to show off, but I can show off the pictures of the book,
Hey,
Stuart.
it's always there.
And just am hoping that given wacky weather right now and climate change and drought and everything, that I'll be able to get a beautiful garden established. So if you would, here's another ask, another big ask. If you would, in the comments below, tell me, like Tinkerbell, tell me you believe. Tell me you believe that I can do it again.
I think we might get a few of those.
Yeah, a few. So that is pretty much the garden. It has been a wonderful, I think, symphony of both evergreens and blooming shrubs up front. My fabulous oak tree that has been so beaten and battered is still standing, and God willing will still be standing by the time we close on this house. And then, Stuart, if you would show the Nuttall oak that is planted here by the street, because I am going to be planting 2 Nuttall oaks at my new house. It's a beautiful, beautiful tree. Look at how gorgeous and straight that trunk is. And hopefully I'll also be planting a Caddo maple, which is native to Oklahoma and southwest Oklahoma, and I'll be planting one of those at the new house. But Stuart, oh my goodness, look at how bare the front porch looks.
I hadn't focused on it yet.
And
yeah,
everything
wow.
looks so much more spacious, I have to say. It had gotten, in my obsession over potted plants, it had really gotten, I think, a little bit overgrown and a little bit, I just had too much stuff here. So that can be redressed by the new owner. I'm going to have to create some jewelry for the storybook cottage like we have created here, in terms of a date when my new house was built, and also a bronze plaque with the address on it. And then, so Stuart, here, these are the things that make my heart hurt a little bit, because there's all sorts of tulips coming up. Look, this little guy has completely blown out. That may be one of my last gardening acts, is to put this boxwood back in place. It's gotten disruptive.
Show me some tulips
But look
coming.
here, here's some little tulips coming up, Stuart. I think I planted maybe 100 in here.
Oh,
And
right there.
here's a little tease, you guys. There will be a new window box at the Storybook Cottage. At least one, maybe more. But you guys know, and if you haven't, I've written an article for Southern Living about it, and I think surely we have done a window box, several window box
I was
videos.
about to say, maybe more than 3.
Maybe more than 3 on this window box, but you can see that it's massive, and it in and of itself is a mini garden. And it has been one of my favorite things to play with. Now, it does get lots of intense south sun, which means that sometimes the things in here are a little bit short-lived, but that's okay, because it's manageable and it's fun to replant. Stuart, is there anything else we want to talk about the front yard that you want to speak to before we move to the back?
No, I guess not.
A lot of
We'll miss
you
it.
A lot of you have asked if I was going to have faux turf at the new house, and let's just say that I'm going to leave that a mystery, because pretty soon we are going to be revealing the plans for the new house, and so I'm just gonna leave that there and leave you guys in suspense so that you can wait and see. But I have loved this front yard. I have loved all of the people that drive by and who say kind things. I'm getting teary-eyed, Stuart. But all of the people over the years who have been so complimentary and who's so appreciative, and hopefully maybe it brightened their day to drive by this house.
You have a new mailman now, won't you?
And I do. I'm gonna Kenny, my mailman.
He's cool. We've seen him a
But
lot.
you know what? Kenny, my mailman, whom I adore and who has become a good friend to me, when I told him we were moving, he said, well, you know what, this is good timing. He said, because he was going to be moving to a new area too.
Ooh,
and he was going to be taken off of this route. So that made me feel like there was a little bit of balance in the scales there, synchronicity, happy synchronicity, and it made me feel not quite so bad. And I've already met one of my new mailmen who was just absolutely wonderful. So, so we will, probably Hubs and I will sit on this front porch one more time before we leave. Hubs just liked to sit here on the garden bench, and when people would come by and say, oh, is this your house? And he would say yes. He would just nod and say yes. He'd be having his gin and tonic or his coffee out here, and he liked taking lots of the credit. But for those of you who don't already know, Hub's not a great gardener. He allowed me to just kind of have this as my playground. He sure enjoyed it though.
That's it.
And liked all of the reflected glory. So let's go to the back now, Stuart. Well, Stuart, of all of the views of my garden, this was probably my favorite.
Mine too.
Yeah, and I always said if I couldn't elicit an audible gasp when I opened the gate at certain times of the day and certain times of the year, that I hadn't done my job as a garden designer. Well, Stuart, I think you're going to gasp because you haven't seen this yet,
I know,
but for a completely different reason.
It might be a different kind of gasp.
Yeah.
Oh man. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, you really get a feel for how big the
space is.
Yeah, the rocky area. I don't know what
right.
You call it. I don't remember
the dining deck,
yeah,
the gravel dining deck.
It looks so much bigger without all the stuff on it.
And for so many of you that had questions about how it was constructed, we've already done lots of videos on that. Well, this gives you a really good idea of what it looks like when it is sans topiary, sans plants, sans bistro furniture, anything like that.
Didn't you put a picture up of this talking about how it looks strange without the cascading topiaries?
Yeah, yes, it does look really, that was something
different.
in the community tab, I think.
Yeah, that's
it really looks strange to me. One feature that I've always just loved is the brick risers and the flagstone.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the features that I find that I'm really going to miss are features that happily I can replicate at the Storybook Cottage, and I think I'm going to try to do that. And in some fashion, I think this is going to be one of them.
Very cool.
So yeah, this huge area, and you can see I've been watering some stuff, so my giraffe hose reel is pulled out. It wouldn't be my garden if there weren't a hose that we had to take out of an image. Isn't that right, Stuart?
Very true. I hear a whole lot of
Yeah, so this brick pattern work in what formerly was called the bistro is one of my favorite things. This herringbone combo, herringbone with flagstone pattern, is one of my very favorite things. And happily, this is something that I'll be able to replicate with maybe a little bit different color brick and flagstone, but I'll be able to replicate at the new place. And I am so happy that some of the things that I'm so fond of, I will be able to do there. Also, this wonderful brick border that goes all around the perimeter that you guys have commented on so many times, I will be able to replicate some of this. And here's another patch of that kind of brickwork that I like so much. And this is where the garden bench used to be, Stuart. Yep. What my husband and I always called the Power Ranger garden bench, because when the boys were little, we would sit here and they would play out here and show us their Power Ranger moves and Power Ranger gymnastics, and it was kind of a favorite spot for us to sit. Over the years, it got so overgrown with hydrangeas, particularly these oak leaf hydrangeas and things,
pesky hydrangeas,
that we had to keep moving it forward. Lots of daffodils coming up back here, Stuart. Lots of larkspur I see.
Oh, those pesky hydrangeas.
Oh, those pesky hydrangeas. But
always in the way.
Southern Living Plant Collection will come to my rescue, and we will be planting all sorts of white wedding hydrangeas. Hopefully, remember the absolutely fabulous Terra hydrangea, Stuart?
Oh, the football size.
Yeah,
ones.
I think that one, I may have to relocate that one to the Storybook Cottage. And I will also be relocating one of these now crowded deutzia, white deutzias. And I think I'll be able to do that. I had layered some of them earlier so that I could propagate more of them. So one of these will definitely be coming, and I'll take it along with me. Sadly, very sadly, Stuart, what can we not take?
Don't remind me.
The Chinese snowball viburnum, though I have to tell you, I did look into it, but without getting a crane back here and really some heavy equipment, there was no way to do it. But, Stuart, the good news is I already have identified a fairly large one that will go at the Storybook Cottage, because you and I don't think we can survive.
No, it would be tough.
Without a snowball viburnum. So you need, for people who haven't seen it, you need to put up.
There'll be some
You
images
need to
going
put up a
as we
picture of
speak.
that. And then a lot of my Southern Living plants that I love so much, including some Woodgelia and some new ones that I haven't tried, those will be coming back again. The orange rocket barberry, obviously lots of the new boxwood varieties will be there. And probably I have loved, they're kind of denuded now because the foliage got frosted out. But there will be Miss Lemonabilia, some Obsession Andinas and things like that.
Wait, you're not going to make me learn a bunch of new name plants at the new place,
yeah, absolutely, Stuart. Absolutely.
I just now got used to these.
Yeah, but that said, I'm going to be having so many of my old friends. You know what's interesting to me, as I said, I wanted to start a new garden. And I wanted to start maybe a new flavor of a garden. And I kept thinking that the next place I was going to be would be more Spanish or more Mediterranean. But you know, when you're searching for the next place, you have to go with what's available and what speaks to you. And the Storybook Cottage just really was tugging at my strings, and it was a language, it was a gardening vernacular I already know well. And so it's not a completely new learning curve.
Yeah.
I will take into account things like challenges that I didn't have when I started this garden in terms of lack of rainfall and heat and extreme cold. But that said, I kind of know how to do this. And what I also love, Stuart, is some of my signature touches, like my hanging baskets and things like that. A lot of that will translate to the Storybook Cottage pretty well, I think. Even though it's a smaller template, it will nevertheless be one that I will feel familiarity with, and will make me less homesick for this garden.
I got a question of the day real quick. How many people are out in, like, thrift stores, shops, see a little basket like the baskets you have, and the first thought they have are, that's a Linda basket?
That's a Linda basket.
That's what I think every time. I put your name in front of it if it looks anything like that.
Or how could I voterize this?
Yes, exactly.
Well, and by the way, Stuart, you and I will be going on some thrifting missions as soon as I'm not so crazy.
As soon as you have time.
Some thrifting missions for the new house of specific things that I am looking for. Look back at the house this way, Stuart. Look at, and boy, am I going to miss that view out of my kitchen window.
I can put that pick up too.
Now, so a lot of you have said, not a lot, but a number of you have said, I'm crazy to leave this garden. I'm absolutely crazy to leave this garden. And that may be true, but last night when we were lying in front of the fire, both of us together in front of the bigger room with a TV, and Hub said, oh boy, we have made the right decision. That just kind of washed all over me and made my exhaustion feel not quite so intense, because we do feel confident, even though we'll miss this house, that we have made the right decision. And you have to make the right decision that's good for you. So if you're struggling with, do I stay or do I leave right now, your heart will tell you what to do. Common sense will tell you what to do. Pragmatic concerns will inform your decision. But as long as I have a place where I can garden, even if it's a challenge, then I'll be happy. And several of the neighbors kind of know me or know who I am, and so they have already said that in the future they will be soliciting a little bit of help from me. So see, I'll be able to garden there too. Yeah. I am going to be digging up because it's gone everywhere back here in a wonderful, wonderfully aggressive way, and that's that lavender Veronica that I love so much. I'll be taking some of it with me. But you know, even the potager looks pretty good right now, Stuart.
Well, yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah. It doesn't look too bad. You guys may recall that I took off the 2 rounded balls on the end that had gotten overgrown, and see how it's nicely filling in. And it will need a good trim because it got a little bit of cold blast burn. And I've still got some things to move from the back, but nevertheless, I think it's pretty happy. And look at this, Stuart. Now this makes my heart ache. Look at those alliums coming up. They are going to be huge.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely huge. And I'm going to have to start out again with new allium.
Is allium the purple firework?
The great big, yeah, the great big round. The Dr. Seuss plant. The Dr. Seuss plant.
Hey, no more of the blue stuff in the background I have to take out.
No more. But you know, this one of the reasons that I was ready to leave was because this whole fence area and everything kind of needed to be redone, and I really kind of feel like that I had gone as far as I could go with this garden, Stuart, that I had made it as perfect as I could make it. And now I felt like I was just in a position of having to redo what I had already done because of weather events and time, and I just didn't want to replay that record again. I wanted to hum a new tune.
There you go.
So I think I'm going to be doing that. But yeah, there's daffodils, all sorts of stuff coming up in here. I will be taking some of that wonderful Sedum Autumn Joy with me. And believe me, all the stuff that I am taking, the new owners will have more than enough left in place to spread about as much as they choose. Someone asked me if I'm going to be having roses at the new house, and yes, though not even over time, I didn't have as many here as I had initially because of rosette and a number of different things. But I will have some. Every garden has to have some roses. They just may be interpreted in a different way. And yeah, the squirrels, Stuart. Oh, my ongoing love-hate relationship with the squirrels. But I will have some, I think, just maybe not quite as many as I have had here.
Not the ones that know you.
Not the ones that know me, but you know what? I bet they will hunt me down and find me as we relocate. I'm trying to decide whether or not to take this golden Weigela, but I may start all over on this. They grow relatively quickly, and so I'm not sure about that. Again, anything that I am taking there is more than enough to fill the space, fill any voids of plants that I'm taking. I am sorry to leave this perfect standard I created over time, this perfect topiary that I created over time. This Blue Point juniper that just started out as a little baby. Remember the days when we would shop this garden? I anticipate we will be doing that again. And all of the time we spent in the studio in the back, Stuart, with QVC and all of the Channel 4 videos that I shot back there with segments for your garden with Linda Kavanaugh, and just all sorts of things in the back. Your reflection, Stuart, that you would try to hide.
They just got my hand there.
All of these wonderful redbud trees that all were starts off of this matriarch of an old redbud tree here. When we moved in, this was thriving and happy, and then over time it succumbed. But by then there were so many progeny, so many children that came up, so that I had this wonderful pink canopy over the garden. In the spring, probably the most beautiful that ever was, happily, was when Garden Gate magazine and my friend Kristen came out,
it was a good
and
day.
they were able to film all of that. We actually shot some footage to maybe do a TV show back then. I don't know if you knew that, Stuart.
I did.
Possibly with me as a hostess, and for a number of different reasons that didn't materialize. It was going to be on public TV. But the redbuds too, over time, have kind of taken a hit. I am definitely going to have some of my string lights at the new garden. And by the way, that is a signature touch. That is not only a signature touch of mine out here in this garden at the Fairytale house, but is a signature touch in my neighborhood. That pretty much everyone has them, and they have them not just in the back, they have them in front. So when you drive through at night in my neighborhood, there's all sorts of string lights everywhere, and it's just uber charming. So I will miss my pink canopy, but again, I'm just going to try to figure something out. I will have lots of potted plants, probably not as many as I have had in the past because I had too many. And I'm trying to curb my enthusiasm in that regard. Stuart, still even without many things, Stuart is still knocking over stuff in the garden.
That's what I get for looking forward, not down.
Something else I will be taking. There's not a whole lot of them, but for those of you longtime viewers, you may know that I have brick that has printing on them that belonged to my second mother in Indiana, and when they left there, my childhood, or one of my childhood, we had many childhood homes there, I took them, like this one that says "Don't spit on the sidewalk."
Darn tootin'.
And I will be taking these to the new house. I'll just put a regular brick in their stead, or more gravel.
I don't know if I got that readable, but that's all right.
Yeah, it was upside down.
That's a good, I don't know that I ever noticed that was there.
Don't spit on the sidewalk.
Yeah, I would have loved to have seen that.
And correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but I believe that was because well, not only because it was gross, but also because that was back when tuberculosis was such a problem, and I think they were concerned about tubercular spread. So, and look at here, Stuart, all of the hyacinths. This was my minor bulb garden. I also called it the fish pond because it had the staggered brick around it. That was an homage to the fish pond at Monticello. I later removed the brick. But look at all these hyacinths that I would get at Trader Joe's, and after they finished blooming inside, I would plant them out here, along with all sorts of daffodils and columbine. Ooh, that gives me a little heart tug, Stuart. All of these little friends, these little flower buddies that I have planted over the years. That is a little Henry sweet spire that I planted about the time one of my nephews, whose name was Henry, was born. And then over here, Stuart, the little fireplace that was modeled after one that I saw in a state park. And my friend Woody Brumley with Cityscapes, he and I designed this, and we have used this many a time. And he has passed, and in fact I remember doing a walk around right after he passed around this garden, Stuart, because he was such an important part of it. And now Kayla, who took over Cityscapes, is also helping me with my new garden, in addition to my friends John and Roger that you guys know. So it's so nice to have good friends. And then I'm just going to end on this note, because I think we need to end on a shiny, sparkly, hopeful note. And that is my beautiful sparkler chain that my friend Jan Nadine made, aka the Hungry Holler on Instagram, that she made this for me, I don't know how many years ago, and she just sent it to me as a gift. And this was back when I did a lot more Instagram than I'm doing right now. And she and I have become great friends. And we talk regularly. And every time I see it, she thinks of me and her amazing talent. So do you think that's a good sparkling note to end on, Stuart?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is I'm glad we didn't get over sentimental necessarily, because we might have some more sentimental stuff coming in the future.
Yeah, and I could tear up in
I
a
know,
moment's notice, Stuart. So I'm trying to kind of hold it. I'm trying to really hold it together.
You're doing good.
Okay, so God, we have loved this garden, Stuart. We have really loved this garden, and I thank it for its service.
Thank you, everybody.
Well, if you've held on this long, here is my outfit of the day, starting with my chapeau. It is a Southern Living Plant Collection hat. I unearthed it a while back, and I decided I needed to start wearing it, especially on these windy days, and because it has special meaning to me. My jean jacket, have no idea where it came from. It was a hand-me-down from my sister, Kay. My bandana is a Lucky bandana. My t-shirt is a long black t-shirt from Eddie Bauer, I believe. My breeches, these are thrifted. Can't tell you what they are. Got them at Goodwill. And my shoes also, I don't know that I can tell you where I got them either. So this is a very uninformative outfit of the day. Got these, I think I got these online somewhere. But it's all about being casual today, Stuart, because it's supposed to get windy again. And I've got just lots of messy work to do, so no point in cuting up when you are going to be toiling inside and out.